I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time to delve deeper into the guest life cycle, and we're going to be talking about the detail within each stage and give you examples of what letters you could actually fit in under each of these headings in the hopes of providing you with some inspiration. So let's start off with the pre-arrival stage. This is the great news, you've got a booking. This is now the time that you have the opportunity to drive more value from your guest visit. So at the pre-arrival stage of the guest life cycle, you should be communicating with purpose. So some of the reasons why you would be trying to reach out to your guest would be to inform them. You should consider the type of information your guest needs to know. This might include information of how to access your property, amenity instructions, or just a general booking confirmation. You would be educating your clients, sharing with your guests about your local area that will actually enhance their visit. Maybe consider segmenting your audience to personalize your visit. So we've chatted already before about what would someone taking their furry friend want to actually know. If your guest is traveling with children, is there anything they should know? You may be trying to use to inspire your guests. Maybe use the opportunity to drive additional revenue by building that anticipation and excitement for the experience that awaits. You can inspire your guests by maybe tempting them with additions that await them on their arrival, be it things like food or pet hampers, maybe. You could also take the self out of self-catering and consider what you could offer your guests that will promote their comfort and convenience during their stay. Maybe you could provide locally sourced produce or a recipe box for their first night stay, extra logs of the fire, or we've mentioned before, higher accessibility equipment, those sorts of things. Now, timing is obviously everything. Your potential guest is unlikely to be tempted by a breakfast hamper 4 months ahead of arrival, but maybe in the days leading up to their stay, they'll be more interested. So here we give you some examples. You could send one immediately, so your booking confirmation and thank you email would go immediately, or maybe just 48 hours ahead of arrival, you'll be sending out your food hampers or recipe boxes, for example. Let's move on to the next stage. So we're going to be looking at the arrival stage. Now, the principles that we have outlined in the pre-arrival stage basically apply to each phase of the guest life cycle. The areas actually become quite interchangeable, including the whys, whats, and whens. But obviously, the idea behind it is that when your guest has arrived, you're going to continue to add value and build momentum through welcome messages and incentives. Examples that you could do during this time period would be inform them, consider sharing timely information about how to use particular amenities or about the pre-booked extras or maybe activities that are offered in the area, what your guests would need during the time that they're there. Perhaps it's the number to the local takeaway or directions to the nearest restaurant, those sorts of things. An important part of this is also giving them social incentives, hashtag sharing your stay. Whilst your guest is enjoying their holiday, there's that significant opportunity to collate their user-generated content by encouraging them to share images of their visit to you via your various social media channels during their visit. After all, people like sharing what they're on when they're on holiday. You're also going to be adding the convenience. After that first night's sleep, maybe you want to reach out to your guest and ask if you can be of assistance. This is another touch point where you can advertise your on-site amenity or maybe those last-minute add-ons to enhance their holiday. Maybe you could offer a stay extension or late checkout, and this would maximize the value of their stay. Those are just a few examples. Again, during the arrival stage, it's important to use your intuition as to when you'll be sending off these emails. If a guest is only visiting for 3 nights, you should be really careful and not over-communicate. So a balanced approach is key, but some of the touch points that you could consider would be to send out an email immediately upon arrival, after their first night's sleep, or maybe even mid-stay if they're staying for long periods of time. Now, the departure phase of the guest life cycle is when you basically convert that one-time visitor into a repeat customer. It's also when you should really focus your energy on capturing reviews, feedback, and those moments of magic that were created during your guest time with you. And basically, the goal here is to drive more positive reviews for your business. It's really a worthwhile, careful time that you could plan your objective in terms of your intended communication, where you would have what we call a call to action very clear in your mind when sending up these emails. What is your call to action? So do you need to share information your guest needs to know when they're departing your property? Maybe you need to inform them a relevant checkout information, cleaning, where the keys need to be handed in, or maybe they need to be placed in a safe place. If they've hired equipment, how they need to return them. This is the perfect time that you need to highlight it. Another thing that you would be doing is conveying that you would appreciate your customers' feedback and reviews, reaching out to understand the guest experience, be it also through social sharing, but also you could capture your guest reviews using our upfront review feature. Another thing that you could be doing at this time is rebooking offers, encouraging that repeat business by offering time-limited rebooking offers on departures, using vouchers, for example. Looking at when you'd be sending out this information, it's important to share this information with your guest immediately or soon after departure, whilst the visit is still fresh in their mind. But you obviously need to consider what your objective is and be sure not to overwhelm the guest with too many asks. So ultimately, you need to decide which of the above suggestions matters most, putting out your request and making it super simple by having that call to action quite obvious as to what you're asking them for. So here we give examples. You could do it immediately, 3 to 5 days after, or 2 weeks post departure. Now let's just move on to this rebooking stage. The rebooking stage is basically an idea that by utilizing your guest database, you can actually plan really thoughtful marketing campaigns to entice this repeat business. And the phase of this guest lifecycle journey is basically a significant opportunity to get more direct bookings as well, to convert those OTA bookings, i.e. from Airbnb and Booking.com into direct bookings when they rebook. The purpose of reaching out to the guest at this time is really simple. You're encouraging repeat business and advocacy. You're continuing to communicate with your guest over time and trying to build a sense of nostalgia and inspiring action to rebook. For example, ideas that you could be doing in this time is if your guest initially booked via booking channels like Airbnb, maybe you could highlight the benefits of returning to your property by booking direct. You could maybe highlight any additions to your business, such as new properties, additional amenities, etc., etc. Another idea is keep in touch with your guests. Why not add past guests to your marketing database where you could maybe send them off regular newsletters? Maybe if your business has won accolades or made improvements, you want to drip good news in and keep your business at the forefront of their mind. In terms of a newsletter, you could utilize your guest database to bolster your marketing efforts and extend your reach by sharing your company highlights, keeping information in terms of why they visited you in the first place. So, for example, maybe they visited you for a birthday. Maybe they visited you because they were celebrating a special anniversary, those sorts of things. Keep those little key informations within your bookings and utilize those. Maybe you have a special Valentine's weekend or Christmas special offers that you want to advertise. Do you have any last minute deals because you have low occupancy? Basically, you're just going to be using your database to drive revenue and to fill your booking calendar. Now, when you should be sending these types of emails, basically the choice is yours. You just need to formulate a schedule of emails that you know would work. I just want to highlight that you cannot use a super control account to send out these marketing newsletters. Rather, we actually just recommend that you use your super control database to filter and export your records of guests and then import these into marketing platforms like MailChimp. And you would use MailChimp then to mass send out these emails. Now, by planning your auto email communication flow, similar to how we brainstormed, it's important that you think of guests in different scenarios. So, what emails would you be sending to a guest when they successfully book and stay? What would you send to them if they book and then decide to move the date or change their properties? Or in the inevitable, well, what happens if they cancel booking? And by going through this process, you're not only going to be driving more revenue, you're guaranteed to drive more 5-star reviews.